Welcome to week 5. This week is about knowing where a computer stores data when it's running. Now, the theme this semester has been how do computers work? So you've been looking at components of a computer, CPU. You've been looking at input and output devices. You have been looking at types of storage. You have been looking at binary and how computers store all their data as zeros and ones as binary. We're looking at logic gates and how logic gates are used to make decisions. This week is about where computers store the information that is being processed. So when you're running something on your computer, where is that data stored? So let's get into it. First of all, let's look at language this week. So RAM, random access memory, ROM, read-only memory, and volatile. These are the key words for this week. We're going to look at where processing of data is stored. What do these have in common? So here is your brain, where you store your information. This is RAM, and in the middle here is a type of ROM. This is where computers store things that are being processed. Now, there are other types of storage for making sure that the data is saved to a computer. It's a different type of storage. So we're looking at primary storage. You in your brain again have a primary storage area. That's for a different science class, but effectively your brain stores it during the day, and then when you go to sleep it then gets filed just like a computer would do. Once you save things, it gets filed in a different part of your brain. Computers very similar. We store it in RAM or ROM, and then once we save it, want to keep it permanently like you would, it's then saved to either a hard disk or another storage medium, secondary storage. So these are primary storage locations. So what are these different types? The computer has different types of memory in it. The two big ones you need to know are RAM and ROM. RAM standing for random access memory, and ROM read-only memory. They are very different in their function and have very different purposes. So let's start to consider what these differences are. We're going to talk about volatile and non-volatile. Volatile is something that can change rapidly. That's what the word means. Water changing into ice, a dynamite changing into a gas explosion, a light switch turning on and off electricity. These are things that change rapidly, change quickly, volatile. Non-volatile is the opposite, things that don't change very quickly. Let's look about some knowledge about RAM. It stands for random access memory. This is where programs that are currently being used are stored. So things that you are running on your PC at this moment are being stored. This video I'm creating, this PowerPoint that I'm displaying, are all stored in RAM because I'm using them as I'm speaking. In more technical terms, RAM stores two things that the CPU needs: data, so our binary, and instructions, so things that we need to do to our binary in order to process it. RAM is volatile. RAM can change quickly. We need it to change quickly because if we change our mind, we can change it there and then. We don't want to have to wait for our computer to change something which takes 2 or 3 seconds. We need it instantly. Volatile means that it needs constant power though to keep this data. If the power goes off, you lose everything. It's like playing a game on your mobile phone or something on your tablet, and your tablet turns off or loses power. If you haven't saved what you're working on, you lose it. You lose everything. It's volatile because it's been stored in RAM. The more RAM you have, the more programs you can open at once, which is why it's really important if you are running lots of things at the same time. Let's look at ROM. ROM stands for read-only memory. It contains the BIOS. Now this is something called the basic input-output system. This lets you use the keyboard, mouse, display things to your screen. At initial time you turn your device on, the BIOS is used to let you control it until, for instance, either Windows is loaded, or iOS is loaded, or your Android system has loaded up. Without ROM, you couldn't have anything work, nothing would load up. Like its name suggests, it cannot easily be written to and is designed to be read from only. More on this later. Read-only memory. So with those two forms of primary storage, RAM and ROM, and you've just heard some basic knowledge about both, this week's task, I want to create a graphic that shows the main differences between RAM and ROM. Now these are the things you need to include. What RAM and ROM stand for, the purpose of RAM and ROM, i.e. what they are for, what is meant by volatile and non-volatile, and which one is which. So is RAM volatile or non-volatile, or is ROM volatile or volatile? Challenge for this, find out what the different types of RAM are, which is best and why. Is ROM really read-only? Now you can create an infographic, or if you so wish to, you can choose to create a video blog on the types of memory if you so wish. So this needs to be submitted to your teacher for this week's work. Thanks for watching.